I, Mary, set forth to understand the mystery of the days of Daniel. Daniel chapter 12, verse 11 through 12. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,335 days. In the book of Revelation, John the Revelator was given another date. It says, "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." This is from Revelation chapter 11, verse 3. That number is also in Revelation chapter 12, verse 6. "And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, and they should feed her there 1,260 days." So 1,260 days happens in Revelation 11, chapter 3, and in 12, verse 6. So I'm wondering if that time is about, if it's the same 1,260 days. And then Daniel, they give another day count. It's the 2,300 days, and it happens in chapter 8, and it talks about the abomination that maketh desolate until the cleansing of the temple. And that happens, was fulfilled by Antiochus Epiphanes in 167 BC. So the 3 numbers that was given for the first 1,260 days from the book of Revelation talks about the 2 witnesses prophesying and Israel being fed in the wilderness. The 1,290 days is from the abomination of desolation, but it doesn't say till when. So I'm assuming a cleansing of some sort. And then it says, "Blessed is he who waiteth until the 1,335 days." So I got to thinking about this, and a lot of times the prophecies were fulfilled on feast days. And so Rosh Hashanah is the next feast day to be fulfilled, because as you know, the festivals, all the spring festivals, were fulfilled on the date Christ was crucified on Passover, and he rose again on first fruits, and then on Pentecost we received the Holy Spirit. So those were all the spring feasts. So we're now in the summer months between the spring and the fall feasts. The next fall feast to be fulfilled is Rosh Hashanah, which is the Feast of Trumpets. So many assume and kind of guess that Rosh Hashanah will be the time when we have the rapture. Now, it is possible. It's a nice little speculation, but I'm not setting the day nor the hour. However, that expression, "no man shall know the day nor the hour," does work with Rosh Hashanah, because it is the only feast that happens on a new moon, and no one knows when the new moon will happen. It's when the first sliver is seen, and so it's actually over several days that they're watching for the new moon. So that ironically works well with Rosh Hashanah, with the rapture. Yom Kippur is the one that is actually 10 days after Rosh Hashanah. So if you're looking in the Old Testament, Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the 7th month, and it's on a new moon. Yom Kippur happens the 10th day of the 7th month, and it lasts for 1 day. Sukkot is on the 15th day of the 7th month, and it lasts for 7 days. It is a festival of booths. Sukkot is the plural form of the word sukkah, which is booth, and it was just to remind them of when they had to live in the wilderness, and so they're tabernacling with the Lord, and they live out in booths, Sukkot, for 7 days. Now, of course, Yom Kippur, Yom means a day, and Kippur means atonement, or to make holy. And so Yom, please don't say Yom, it is Yom. Yom is sea, so it's not a sea of atonement, it is a day of atonement, and Yom means day. Rosh Hashanah, just for kicks and giggles, if we're explaining names, Rosh means head, Ha is the, Shana is year, so it literally is the head of the year. So it is the head of the new year, which is odd because it's the 7th month, but that's what they call the new year. So what I did is I went forth and I calculated all of the days of Hanukkah, because that is the date historically where the temple was cleansed, and that is when they celebrate the cleansing of the temple is on Hanukkah. And Christians should be able to celebrate Hanukkah because Jesus did, and without Hanukkah we would not have Jesus, because we could not have had Jesus be dedicated at the temple when he was an infant, because if there was no temple, then he couldn't have been dedicated. So Hanukkah couldn't have had Jesus couldn't have happened until Hanukkah happened. So we can, as Christians, celebrate Hanukkah. Of course, this is Sukkot, Yom Kippur, and Rosh Hashanah. And I just went through the couple of years between 2031 and 2040. I started with 2031 because we're talking about the end of the tribulation period, which hasn't even started yet. So I calculated 7 years. So the next 7 years from now would be 2031. So I just calculated these dates, and I made a little page for each one. 2031, Hanukkah happens on December the 9th. Sukkot is the 10th of October. September 26th is Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah is the 17th through the 19th of September. And if you go by the 1260 days, the 1260 would be 75 days before the 1335. The 1290 days is the 45 days before the 1335. So I calculated both 45 days and 75 days. The 75 day before Hanukkah is the 1260 days, which is for the one from Revelation. The 45 is the 1290, which is from Daniel. So as you can see, 75 days before Hanukkah happens to fall within a day of Yom Kippur. 75 days is 9/25. Yom Kippur starts on 9/26. This is, of course, 2031. Now, a day off is pretty impressive, but over on 2032, we also have a day off issue where it is the 1260 date would be 9/13, which happens to fall the day before Yom Kippur of 9/14. In 2033, we have a year that falls exactly on the 75th day of before Hanukkah. So that's interesting. October the 2nd is Yom Kippur of 2033. So that could be the 75th day for the 1260. That would be the 1260 days before, 1260 days from the midpoint of the tribulation. That could be that date. Okay, so then here we also have an exact date in 2034 where Hanukkah falls on December 6th, and 75 days before that is September the 22nd, which is the same date as Yom Kippur. In 2035, we have an issue where it is a day off again, where Hanukkah actually falls on Christmas that year, and 75 days before that is October the 11th, and then Yom Kippur starts the day after on October the 12th. And the next year, actually, Hanukkah also falls on Christmas Day, and so we still have October the 11th, but this is way off. This is 9/30 as Yom Kippur, so this doesn't even work anywhere near. Now, 2037, um, Hanukkah falls on the 2nd of December, and for 75 days before that is 9/18, and Yom Kippur is on 9/18. And this, I just wrote a check mark there because that's my birthday. And I have not really told anybody this, but a couple years ago, I just got really excited about my birthday, and just I was in prayer, and I felt impressed that the Lord was going to return on my birthday. Now, it could have just been the pizza I ate the night before, but I've always kind of had that in the back of my head. And I don't know for sure if he's going to come back on my birthday. I mean, he's got a 1 in 365 day chance. I mean, possibly. But that's why I just read the little check mark, just because that's a little interesting little anecdote right there. In 2038, we've got Hanukkah falls on the 21st of December, and that puts 75 days from before that to be October the 7th. Yom Kippur is a day off on October the 8th. 2039, we have an exact date happening again, where the 75 days before December the 11th is 9/27, which is the first day of Yom Kippur. 2040 is the last year I did, and we have a day off situation where it's 75 days is 9/15, and Yom Kippur starts on 9/16. So you can backtrack any of these dates if you'd like, and if you want, especially the ones that fall exactly on that date, would be interesting to find exactly 1260 days before that. Say, like, if you do this 2034, 9/22, 1260 days before that would be actually when the abomination of desolation happens, which would be the midpoint of the tribulation. Which, if you know the midpoint of the tribulation, then you would know exactly 3.5 years before that, which would be the signing of the covenant with many. And of course, we don't know when the rapture happens. The rapture, I believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, which means that the rapture could happen any time before that covenant is signed. So, even if this is true, 2034, right here, where this would happen, that would put the beginning of the tribulation in 2028. I'm sorry, 2027. So that's 2 years away, but we don't know the span of time between the rapture and the beginning of the tribulation. I believe that Satan always has his people on hand. He doesn't know either. He's waiting for the rapture too. That's his gunshot for the beginning of the race. So he's waiting on it too. He's listening with anticipation for the trumpet call as well, because he knows when that happens, he's got to get his ducks in a row. He probably already has his ducks in a row. I'm thinking he already has people on hand, but he can't really make those final preparations until the rapture happens. And we don't know how long it'll take for that to happen. It could be, within a week or two, or it could be like 6 months even before that happens. And it really just depends on a time scale. And, if the more people that get raptured, the more chaos we have in the world, of course. So if you believe in eternal security, then, then anybody who ever prayed a prayer of salvation is going up in the rapture. I happen to not believe in eternal security. I believe that if once we're saved, then our works will follow, and our works are evidence of our faith, and faith without works is dead. So I don't believe that if you just pray a prayer once that you can never walk away. So anyway, it really just depends on the devastation the world feels after the rapture. It could be where some populations in the world are barely affected by the rapture, which is really sad. But so I'm not giving any dates. I'm just throwing this out there. It's interesting little math looking at dates. I like to connect the dates with the Moedim, because Jesus said, the God the Father said in Genesis, that he put the stars in the sky, and the sun, moon, and stars, and all of the stellar bodies up in the sky for times and for seasons, and they call those Moedims, for signs. So those are and the Moedim are the feast days. So that's really important to look at the feast days, and I'm not going by I'm not going crazy off into Jewish tradition. I'm just looking at this as an interesting little tidbit. I hope this kind of gives you a little bit of information, kind of food for thought, and I hope you have a great day. God bless.